I'll just chant the Kulasekara Arvarstaniyan and then we'll look at the meaning. कुंभे पुनर्वसु जातौ केरले चोळपट्टने कौस्तुभांशं धराधीशं कुलशेखरमाश्रये घुष्यते यस्य नगरे रङ्गयात्रा दिने दिने तमहं शिरसां वन्दे राजानं कुलशेखरम्. Now, if you notice the way the document is structured is all the 40 verses. You may have it in a different order in the one that you've received. After that, I kind of made a little bit of a change. I've brought in 1 to 24 on one page and then 25 to 40 on another page so that you don't have to keep flipping. That's the reason I did it this way. I realized it after I sent out the PDF, but that's okay. But in terms of the sequencing of the stotras, this is the way I've sequenced it. There are two versions primarily of this Mukundamala Stotram. One is, if you notice, there is actually a book out in circulation, which is a commentary by Srila Prabhupada Swami. ISKCON Prabhupada Swami has given a commentary on Mukundamala Stotram. And what is said is that he started doing the commentary, and then his disciples took it on and they completed the work, something to that effect. And this one has about 52 verses. Okay, the ISKCON Prabhupada's Srila Prabhupada's commentary has 52 verses, but the one, then there is the other version which is 40 verses, right? So and that is commonly referred to as 40 verses. So I've picked up that one. Sequence, you will find it different in different places. Towards the end, you will see some of the verses are slightly in different order, etc. It is a little confusing which version to follow that way, but I've tried to take a standard this version, and I also felt this kind of sequence that we should look at to understand the work. So what I've also done is, because there are 40 verses, to also understand how the flow is and the way the key essence of each of the verse, I've tried to indicate that in English here underneath each of the verse. So which is this table of, it's more like an index which shows the actual a few phrases from the verse and what it means in English. I've just written a small, in essence, what it means. So now we chanted the first two verses. Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Daya Pareti Bhakta Priyeti Bhavaluntanako Videti Natheti Nagashayaneti Jagannivaseti Alapinam Pratidinam Kurumam Mukunda Jayatu Jayatu Devo Devaki Nandanoyam Jayatu Jayatu Krishno Vrishni Vansha Pradipah Jayatu Jayatu Meghashyamalak Komalangah Jayatu Jayatu Prithvi Bharanasho Mukunda. So these are the first two verses. Now, if you notice, he's starting off with the first two verses are common in all the versions that you would see. The first few verses, definitely. So he starts off saying, Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Daya Pareti. So the first verse, he is calling out to Krishna or Mukunda. And as we spoke last week, Mukunda essentially means the one, Moksham Dadati iti Mukundaha. Moksham Dadati iti Mukundaha. The one who gives moksha. And he is calling out to that aspect of Narayana or Krishna. Right? We can call out to different aspects of the divine. But he chooses to call out the aspect of the one who gives moksha. And that is what Kulasekhar Alvar feels is the highest that I can achieve. And again, moksha, according to me, him, is in constant divine communion. That is moksha according to him. Because moksha also has a lot of different interpretations, right? In English, it's directly translated as liberation. So when you're liberated from the conditions of the human conditioning that we are in, and this limited identity that we carry, that is moksha. Now, whether we become one with the divine, the Brahman, or we are a part of it, or we are um, he is one and we are separate, all of that doesn't really matter so much. The moment we are rising above our human conditionings and the things that hold us, what we call as the fretters, right? That which hold us, the moment we are free from that, that is moksha, that is liberation. If you are able to remain in a divine communion, which means we are able to remain in a state of complete divine absorption, that is moksha. So you're liberating yourself from the small identity that we are currently, that we are experiencing ourselves as, and I'm associating myself to a larger identity, an infinite identity, cosmic identity, universal identity. Right? Different philosophies have different views in terms of how either we merge and we become one, or we remain separate, or we are one and we are a part of the whole, and all of that. Again, as I said, we are not getting into those aspects of it. We are looking at, for me, right now, from the condition that I am, if I'm able to liberate myself and feel free and live a free life, that is liberation. Right? So when we reach out to Mukunda, when we are calling out to Krishna or Narayana or Bhagavan or any form of the Ishta that we hold on, here in this stotra, we are invoking the liberatory aspect of that divine, saying, I want to invoke you in that form in which you can offer me this liberation. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Moksha I will give you moksha, I will give you liberation. Ishyami, I will give you. Ma shuchaha, do not worry. So when Krishna is saying that, it's clearly again calling out to that aspect of Narayana which can confer upon us moksha or liberation, which means it can help us loosen ourselves from this little identity that we carry of ourselves and then liberate ourselves to the cosmic or the universal understanding, consciousness, identity. So the first verse is Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Dayapareti Bhakta Priyeti Bhavalunthana Kovideti Natheti Nagashayaneti Jagannivaseti Alapinam Pratidinam Kurumam Mukunda. O Mukunda, allow me to think about you, recite your name every day. Like yesterday, we saw this verse, Avan Arulal, Avan Tal Vanangi, which means by his grace, I bow down to him. Even to be able to bow down to Bhagavan, we need Bhagavan's grace, right? And that is the humility with which Kulasekhara Alvar is starting this work. And if you remember, we said there is one verse we will see later where he refers to himself as, I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. We just say Dasoham, but he says Dasa, 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 Dasoham. So I want to be the Dasa of the Dasa of the Dasa of the Dasa. Of your Dasa, essentially, not somebody, some random servant, but a servant who is in worship of you. So here he is calling out to in humility. And remember again, Kulasekhara Alvar is also the one who has asked Bhagavan that he wants to be the the padi, Kulasekara padi. He wants to be that stone, the Vasapadi or the threshold stone at the Garbhagraha, so that he can keep looking at the face of Bhagavan. Pavalavai Kanbene. So may I keep looking at that beautiful face and mouth of yours. So this Kulasekara Alvar, when somebody is asking like this, you can imagine the humility with which this person is approaching the divine. So the first verse is indicative of that. He is saying, I want to be able to recite your name, but you have to grace me for that. And who's he invoking here? Vallabheti, Vallabha, Sri Vallabha, who is the Lord of Lakshmi. Yesterday also we spoke about this. We said how Mother or Ambal or Pirati, Tayar is the one who takes us to Bhagavan. It is through her we get access to Bhagavan because she is creation. She is Prakriti. So it is through Prakriti we understand Paramatma. We engage in Prakriti and we do things in Prakriti and we submit ourselves to Devi, Ambal, and she then takes us to Bhagavan. We said she is the foremost Acharya in that sense. Like how Acharyan takes us to Bhagavan, Pirati, Tayar is the foremost Acharya. Because we go to her and then she will, it is because of her that this whole Prakriti is there. So only she can help us to transcend Prakriti and go to Narayana or Paramatma. So here he is invoking that aspect of Narayana as Vallabhe, Sri Vallabha, which means the one who is the consort of Lakshmi. So the first invocation itself is, O husband of Lakshmi, right? Which means the mother is brought into focus first. Ambal is brought into focus first. Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Dayapareti. Oh, then he goes to describe his Kalyana Guna, which is he is the one who gives Varada. He is a Varadaraja, the one who gives or bestows all kinds of boons. Daya Pareti, he is the one who is compassionate. Daya Pareti, which means he is supremely compassionate. Bhakta Priyeti, the one who is. So there are two ways of looking at this Bhakta Priyeti. One is he desires bhaktas and he is the desired one of all bhaktas. So the bhaktas desire him and he also desires bhaktas. Bhakta Priyeti. Bhava Lunthana Kovideti. Kovida means an expert. Bhava Lunthana means the one who takes you out of this Bhava. Bhava Sagara. Bhava means samsara. Bhava means that which is. In Sanskritam, Bhava means that which is. That which is this existence, this reality that we are experiencing. This identity that we are and this experience that we have of this world in our present state of mind and state of consciousness, this is Bhava. Hence, it is also reflected, it is also interpreted as samsara, where we are in the cycle of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, cycle of birth and death. And he is the one who will take you out of this. Bhava Lunthana Kovideti. Kovida means an expert. Natheti Nagashayaneti Jagan Nivaseti. He is Natha. He is the Lord. He is the Nagashayaneti. Nagashayana. Ranganatha. He is the one who's resting on the Naga, Shesha Naga, Adisesha. Jagan Nivaseti. So he is shown as the one who is resting on the serpent, Adisesha, but he is also resting in the Jagat. Jagan Nivaseti. He is not only there, he is not only in some Vaikuntha resting, right? We don't have to look up to some Vaikuntha and figure out where is Vaikuntha and then he's resting on a serpent. Oh Narayana, how do I access you? He is available here. In the Jagat, he is Jagan Nivaseti. Jagannatha. We'll be going for that yatra in a month's time now. Jagannatha. So he is Jagannatha, means the Lord of this world, which means he is presiding here. He is not elsewhere. He has not created this world and set it into motion and gone. It's not like that. It's not like, okay, I'm done. Thank you very much. I've created this. Now I'm going. You guys figure it out. He's not like that. But there are theologies which talk about creation in this form. There are theologies which say that creation happened, God created, and God is outside of creation. So which is why you have to keep calling him in some random places, right? Oh God, where are you? Can you come and save us? So this whole savior mentality is from that aspect that Bhagavan is not here, he is somewhere else and he has to come down. So here what we are doing is, that is the difference between we calling Bhagavan to come versus we invoking Bhagavan. Invocation is very different that way. Invocation is, he's here, you are just waking him up, waking into his presence. See, it's not that you are making him present here. The presence is there. You are waking yourself to that presence. So that is invocation. Right? That is why we always, although we have avatars who have come down, avatarati, avataraha, the ones they've come down, Rama, Krishna, they've come down, and Narasimha, Varaha, they've all come down. Bhagavan's compassion, he has come down. His aspects of Vibhava or the Vibhava aspects have come down. But understand, when we are calling out to those aspects, we are not calling them to come down from somewhere. We are invoking their presence right here, which means that presence is available here. It is not that it's not present. We are just invoking the presence. Right? Those who know of the second law of thermodynamics, what does it say? Energy is constant, cannot can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to the other. So this is pretty much that. This energy, whatever form we are invoking, it is already present. We are just giving it a certain form and shape and invoking it in a certain way. So Jagan Nivaseti, he is the one who is also in the Jagat. He is Natheti, Nagashayaneti. He is resting in some milky ocean on a serpent bed. But he is also present here as Jagan Nivaseti. Alapinam pratidinam kurumam mukunda. Alapinam is, alap means, those who know music also, you would know alapa means to sing. Raga, when you just sing out a raga, it's called alapana. And alapana usually does not necessarily have, you can do raga alapana, which means you're taking the raga and you're expanding it. But alapana also means just to cry out, to call out. So he's saying, may I call you out, keep calling you out, keep crying out to you. Pratidinam. Pratidinam alapinam. May I keep calling out, may I keep crying out to you. Pratidinam. Kurumam Mukunda. May you do that to me. May you make my state so that I keep calling out to you, crying out to you. So this one is important to understand here, is that the this person Kulashekara Alvar was considered as a madman by many people during his time because of the kind of devotion he was exhibiting. Right? If you recall the stories, when he was listening to Ramayana, he thought Rama is really Rama's life and Lakshmana's life is at stake, and he immediately summons his army and he goes on to fight. Then somebody comes and consoles him, saying, No, Rama has already won the war. Don't worry. It's all taken care of. So, like that, this man was like mad in devotion. It's completely mad. And it's very difficult for us to recognize or understand that, because we are always stuck in practicality. We are wanting to make things practical. We want to say that no, everything should be in alignment with, in accordance with what everybody else thinks. But there are such beings and such people who have lived and walked on this earth who have been in constant intoxication of this kind. And they didn't care about the world. Now, the point is whether they're right or wrong. Can anybody do that way or not? That's a different question. But when you are in that state, you won't be asking anybody of that. You won't be asking. Like when we spoken about this, when somebody went to Ramana Maharshi and asked, Bhagavan, should I leave my family, go away, or should I be with my family and do my sadhana? But it's so difficult. Can I run away? I mean, can I take, can I renounce everything and go away? Then Bhagavan Ravana says that, no, stay in the family. Do your duties, do everything, and then continue to do your sadhana. And then the man says, oh, Bhagavan, then you went like that. You ran away from your family. You didn't even tell anybody that you're going to come to Tiruvannamalai from Madurai. Then Ramana said, but I didn't ask anybody this question. I didn't ask this question to anybody. I didn't come and say, oh, wow, should I go? Should I not go? No, I was just completely absorbed and mad in love with Arunachala. I was intoxicated with that. So there was no stopping. Right? There's no discussion there. There is no, is it the right thing to do? No, there is nothing like that. When you are intoxicated in that state of complete intoxication, you just do what you're driven to do. Right? Now, that state of madness in devotion, that is bhakti, that is real bhakti. Right? Prahlada had that kind of mad devotion, right? His father was the greatest asura that lived, right? One of the greatest asuras that lived, Hiranyakashipu. And he was mad. He said, you do whatever, you throw me from here, you put me on fire, you do whatever, I don't care. Narayana is there. Mad. It's mad, right? Dhruva, we spoke about Dhruva. He was mad. His mother said that, oh, why are you seeking your father's lap? Go seek the universal father's lap. 5-year-old boy, 8-year-old boy, no, 5 years is what the Bhagavatam says. So he's 5 years old. He decides, okay, let me go and find out the universal father. Mad, right? Who would, who would take up to that? If we are told something like that, oh, first of all, your mother will not say, go seek your universal father, right? The mother will say, why are you aspiring for your father's love? In fact, the mothers will feel insecure. Dude, your mother's lap is not enough for you. You want your father's lap? So no mother will send you out like that. Even so, that kind of a mother, she's a guru, right? She was, in my opinion, she was an acharya to Dhruva, the mother, because she showed him the path to walk on. And of course, what he did was his sadhana. But then to show that path, you need somebody. So she showed that path. But then the madness in him took over, right? He trusted the mother's words so much so that he said, I am going to go and go into the forest. He had no idea. And then came his Diksha Guru, Narada. Narada came and gave him Diksha into Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That is the Diksha Guru. So he gave him the mantra upasana, and then he did the mantra upasana for 6 months, undergoing severe penances. Mad, right? I mean, how, which is why these people stand out as stories, as supernatural or phenomenal stories, which we listen to and we're like, oh, wow, wow, great. But we can't even emulate a little bit of that. Kulasekar Alvar was such a madman. So he says, Kurumam Mukunda, O Lord, O Mukunda, O liberator of all beings, O Moksha Daini, right? So he is the one who gives moksha, Mukunda. Please make me recite your name, call out to you, cry out to you every day. Alapinam pratidinam mam kuru mam Mukunda. And as we said yesterday, again, in a different context, we are not talking about begging to the Lord. In fact, one of the verses will come, he'll say that it doesn't matter. I am not asking or calling out to you for a particular reason or purpose. I am calling out to you because I find joy in calling out to you. Why are you doing that? There's a question, why? Because I find joy in it. That's it. Isn't that what we are after anyways? Right? We are wanting joy and peace and happiness and fulfillment inside. And if we find fulfillment in just calling out and chanting Bhagwan's name, what else, what other purpose is required? If it offers you that which you are fundamentally seeking. So he is saying, Alapinam pratidinam kurumam mukunda. And then he goes on to then praise the Lord. He says, Jayatu Jayatu Devo Devaki Nandanoyam Jayatu Jayatu Krishno Vrishnivansha Pradipah Jayatu Jayatu Megha Shyamala Komalangah Jayatu Jayatu Prithvi Bharanasho Mukunda. Jayatu Jayatu. Glory, 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 O Bhagavan, O Lord. Devaki Nandanoyam. Devo Devaki Nandanoyam. You are the you are this Krishna who is Devaki Nandana, Devaki's son. Jayatu Jayatu Krishno Vrishni Vamsha Pradipaha. You are the light of the Vrishni Vamsha. So you are the one who has glorified the Vamsha itself. People wouldn't have known Vrishni Vamsha if not for Krishna. We talk about Ikshvaku dynasty because Rama was born in it. Otherwise, who cares? Right? Surya Vamshi, because Rama was born in it. So there are people who create a lineage, and because of them, like Bharata, he created a dynasty. There's some people who do that, and some people, because of them being born into a dynasty, the dynasty gets glorified. That particular Vamsha gets glorified. In fact, it is said, if one takes to real sannyasa in a family, several generations, previous generations and the subsequent few generations get the benefit of that. Of course, he's taken, so he could have taken sannyasa after having kids also. So the effect or the merits that one gains by leading a renunciant life is not only theirs. The merits are not only theirs. The merits that they acquire through that is actually it is passed on to subsequent generations. And that is why it is always said that Whether the kind of life we live will have a reflection on the way the next generations live. We cannot live a random life and expect the next generation to live a very devout life. Right? Suddenly, because now I feel that it has to be this way, that way, I can't start pushing it down the next generation. I have to live a completely a life of devotion, surrender. And then the merits of that gets passed on. So Vrishni Vamsha Pradipaha, he is the one who has glorified the Vrishni Vamsha. The whole Vamsha he is glorified. Jayatu Jayatu Meghashyamala Komalangaha. He is Meghashyamala, which means he is the dark hued one. And Komalangaha. Komala Angaha. Anga is Komala. It is soft and tender and gentle. Jayatu Jayatu Prithvi Bharanasho Mukundaha. The one who is removing the burden on earth. Burden on earth means he helps cleanse off the earth. So he has done that as Parashurama, he is cleansed. Even as Krishna, when he did Mahabharata, he did the same thing. He cleansed. And by taking his name, he will also cleanse the burden within us. Bharanashaha. Prithvi Bharanashaha. What does it mean for us? Prithvi Bharanashaha. Prithvi Bhara is the burden of the earth. So in the literal sense, it is the burden that earth is carrying. He is cleansing it off. Like we said in Parashurama, or as Krishna, he came and he pretty much orchestrated the whole Mahabharata war. But for us, what does it mean? Is the Prithvi Bhara is the burden of being rooted in the material. If you look at Prithvi as the material plane, our rootedness in material plane is what he will help us destroy. And you yourself will notice that this rootedness starts becoming a burden. It is important to be grounded. It's important to be rooted, but it is important also, okay, so let me use this word differently. Being rooted is important. The issue is being identified. So Bhara, Prithvi Bhara is the burden of identification to the material. So he removes or cleanses or annihilates or lessens that burden within us as we invoke him. As we invoke him, he will slowly lessen that burden that we are carrying, which is this burden of identification strongly to the material. So the less I identify myself with the material, the more I start feeling liberated naturally, right? When you've got a large stone rock tied to your feet, how far can you go up? Right? The natural tension will pull you down. You have to use a lot of effort to keep going up. And even a little bit of fatigue in you will, the rock that's tied down will pull you down. Why does that happen? It's because of our identification with that. Identification is what? Through the chains that we have tied to the rock. It is that identification. The rock is important. It's good where it is. But if you carry it around, then it becomes a burden. We're not saying the rock is bad. We're not saying material is bad. We're not saying the world is bad. We're not saying Prakriti is bad. But it has a place. And we carry it along with us, it becomes a burden. Prithvi Bhara Nashaha. So Jayatu Jayatu Prithvi Bhara Nasho Mukundaha. So the Mukunda, see again, the Bhara Nasha Mukundaha. Mukunda is who? The one who liberates. Liberates you from what? The Prithvi Bhara. So as he liberates you from the Prithvi Bhara, you become more and more liberated. And liberation in many ways is a progressive journey. Is something also we can understand, because it's not necessarily uh, a light flash. It's not always a light flash that happens and, today I am liberated, today I am realized. Such dramatic things have happened to people. There's no denying that. And it has been documented. People have had dramatic experiences like that. And that could happen because many lifetimes of sadhana. But for our experience, in our experience, we can progressively liberate ourselves. We liberate ourselves progressively. And that happens as we alapinam pratidinam kurumam mukunda. So as we keep calling out and crying out to him, jayatu jayatu prithivi bharanasho mukundaha. So they mukunda, you reduce this bhara, prithivi bhara, slowly, you reduce it. So that I feel liberated, I feel light, I feel free, I feel joyous. So those are the first two verses. Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Daya Pareti Bhakta Priyeti Bhavaluntanako Videti Natheti Nagashayaneti Jagannivaseti Alapinam Pratidinam Kurumam Mukunda Jayatu Jayatu Devo Devaki Nandanoyam Jayatu Jayatu Krishno Vrishnivansha Pradipaha Jayatu Jayatu Megha Shyamalah Komalangah Jayatu Jayatu Prithvi Bharanasho Mukundah. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakate Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayati Samarpayami Sadashivayati Samarpayami Jagadambikayati Samarpayami Sadgurunathayati Samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sat Gurubhyo Namaha. Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare.
Achyutananda Govinda Madhava Sachidananda Narayana Hare.
Thank you, Mami. Beautiful.
Thank you, Sudarshan.
Thank you, Mami. Namaskaram.